Welcome back you guys, and in today's News Daily video, I'll be speaking about the latest reports surrounding Isco and the club potentially making a 47 million offer to sign the player this window. I'll be speaking about the club losing their interest in Nathan Ake. I'll be talking about Marash Kumbulla and who exactly this young 19-year-old wonder kid from Serie A is. And to end things, of course, I got to talk about Olivier Giroud again. So don't expect me to spend too much time on the final story, you guys, but one thing that I'm going to spend some time on is letting you guys know why you need to download the OneFootball app. Honestly, it is the best companion app to have on the market. I'm telling you guys, download the app and use it before this season ends. Once you use it for just a few weeks, you understand the importance and the convenience of the app. If you guys want this, you'll find a link in the description below. And one more thing, you guys, if you like today's video, don't be a pagan. Smash that like button. Help me go over 2,000 likes for today's video. And boys, on that note, move straight into the first story for today. That's in regards to the latest surrounding Isco and a potential move to us this window. Anyway, you guys, as you can see on screen, this story has been brought to you by Nathan Ake, and they seem to be the only Spanish outlet that keep consistently reporting these Isco to Chelsea stories. So, I'm going to go down to the main part of the article, which is this bottom segment here. Blue team wants to have the best centre in the Premier League field and wants Isco to be the creator of the London game and has behind him N'Golo Kante that allows him to get rid of that great defensive load. And if there was little left, they have also have Jorginho so that the Malaga player can release all the magic he has without fear and grow young Mason Mount, who this year has shown that he can be an important player in the Premier League. The English should be willing to pay 55 million euros, which is around 47 million pounds, who this year has had little for Zidane, although he is expected to do more from now on until the end of the season. Florentino Perez has no intention of getting rid of Isco, although a good proposal could change his mind at the end of the season. So it seems like that final closing statement from the article slightly contradicts itself, and I think from that final paragraph it does give us a lot of interesting possibilities to think about. Now, if we do sign Isco, it makes a lot of sense that you are going to play him in his number 10 position. Yeah, at Real Madrid he has played down the left hand side, but with how Lampard wants speed down the flanks, well, Isco doesn't really complement that style. So if he was to sign for us, naturally he would take Mason Mount's place. And could this be an indication that Lampard wants to have a long-term plan for Mason Mount? Does Lampard feel like there's plenty of time for Mason Mount to, slowly adapt his game and become a key player for us in the future? But right now this club does need some players with some top-class, world-class ability to give us that short-term boost of quality that we need. I still personally think that if we sign Isco, can we really play the system we play? With how the number 10 in this system, supports Tammy Abraham when it comes to leading the press, well, I can't imagine Isco doing anything defensively, and I can't imagine us sacrificing how we play to have Isco as a number 10. This is 2020. We're not in the 2000 periods anymore. It's not like back in the day when teams used to play 4-2-3-1 and everyone had that creative number 10 that could just do anything. Football's become a lot more team orientated these days, and I just don't see how Isco fully complements how the team wants to play and how Lampard wants things to be. I just can't see it happening, you guys. I know I sound a little bit pessimistic and a bit negative, but I'm just thinking of the football applications and I'm always applying them because Lampard told all of us that we are only signing players that suit and fit what we are doing. Isco does not suit that style of football. You can see that he doesn't really play too much for Real Madrid because of that lack of intensity. So I can't imagine us signing a player that has zero intensity for 50 million. It seems a bit too far-fetched. And boys, on that point, we move on to the second story for today. And that's in regards to the latest surrounding Nathan Ake and the club potentially losing their interest in the player. And that's in regards to the latest surrounding Nathan Ake and the club not wanting to sign him anymore. Now, this story has been reported by the Evening Standard, and they're saying that the club have turned their interest away from Nathan Ake. Now, you might be wondering, Nini, why exactly are the club doing this? We've been linked with the player for so long now. I thought that he was Lampard's favourite, and that's what I thought too, because that's something I've heard for a long time. But it seems like from the Evening Standard, the club's scouting department might have made some observations on the player and they feel like he might not suit playing a high-line defensive game playing for us. Now I know what you're thinking, they just realised that right now. And if I'm being honest, I didn't even realize that was something that Nathan Ake couldn't necessarily do. If anything, this does boost the report suggesting that Lewis Dunk and Issa Diop could be players that we look to sign over Nathan Ake. I thought it was quite random that all of a sudden we're linked with two defenders who are valued around 50 million, and more surprising that Lewis Dunk and Issa Diop are those two players. At the time, I thought it was agents meddling to try and get some interest for their clients, but at this point in time, it's looking like the club have been exploring other options than Nathan Ake, and to be honest, I still don't know how to feel about things. Now, one thing that I keep thinking of is what it means by Nathan Ake not being able to play in a high line. Now, for Bournemouth, I thought they used a fairly decent high line. I mean, we played against them how many times, and a lot of times where they've tended to beat us was when they did use a high line, compacting the pitch and really pressing us in our own half. And in those games, Nathan Ake was playing in that line down the left-hand side, and he looked very accomplished and very good. I know that he's come back from injury and he hasn't been back to his normal self. You know, Bournemouth are using back threes and back fours. I'm trying to understand things by thinking outside the box, and maybe Ake isn't going to be signed because Lampard wants a defender with really different characteristics and dimensions. Maybe he has future plans to evolve how the system is, because Lampard himself has said time and time again that the wing play is something that needs to get even better and improve upon. It's why he's been so excited for guys like Reece James. It's why he wants to sign a big money player at left back. And once we have those components in the team, is Lampard looking at teams like City and Liverpool and thinking that we're not as aggressive with how we press teams as we should be, with how those teams really push up their back lines? Maybe that's how Nathan Ake eventually lost out on a move. Maybe compared to other targets that would suit playing a really super aggressive high line, Ake just doesn't compare. But if Ake doesn't compare, then why is Lewis Dunk and Issa Diop seen as the potential replacements for the player? Listen, they're both good players in their own right. Lewis Dunk is a bit underrated, very good technically, he can play passes, technically accomplished, very composed. You know, he's a player that's worth the attention he gets. Issa Diop's a young French international that's starting to make his name. It's just that, you know, we're a club that has a history of missing out on big players because we didn't want to pay the extra 5 million, the extra 10 million. But we also seem to be a club that are very happy to spend big money on B-tier players. In the comment section below, do you think that the club is making the right decision to not sign Nathan Ake? Do you think guys like Issa Diop and Lewis Dunk as alternatives could be the way forwards? Make sure in the comment section let me know. And listen, if you think those two defenders are dead, you tell me the defenders that you would like to see come and sign by the club. And boys, on that note, we move on to the second story for today, and that's in regards to the latest surrounding Conor Gallagher and his loan move to Swansea. Now, Conor Gallagher has joined Swansea City on loan. Things have moved very swiftly for Conor Gallagher. He only just returned back from the club after ending his loan spell at Charlton, and immediately he signed for Swansea City on loan until the end of the season. This means that Conor Gallagher does join up with Steve Cooper, the former under-17 England international coach, and obviously his teammate Mark Gay, who's also joined Swansea City on loan on an 18-month loan deal. Now, I remember giving you my opinions on Conor Gallagher leaving Charlton and me thinking that it wouldn't be the best thing to do because maybe it's a disrespect to your loan club. But I saw Chelsea Youth's tweets, and after I read them, it really just expanded my perspective and made me understand why this deal was happening in the first place. And because he was just correct in everything he said, there's no point really having my personal opinion, so I'm going to read out exactly what his tweet said. Because I'm one of those guys that doesn't like to have opinions for the sake of it if the right information is already out there. Now, as Chelsea Youth says, a few thoughts on the Gallagher situation, because lots of people have expressed uncertainty as to why he would want to change a good thing going. It's rare for it to happen during a successful loan, only if it's a significant upgrade is on offer, and if the player wants it. And as Chelsea Youth continues on, in this case, he very clearly has been good for Charlton, but their situation has changed dramatically. They've won one league game in 15 and are increasingly relying on a young squad which, respect to them, might not be as good as the Chelsea dev squad that Con was in last year. Now, this is why I like Chelsea Youth. He always has the right context, the right information, a very clued up guy. And again, it's a perspective that I wasn't really taking into consideration because I'm not really following Charlton's situation. But of course, it makes a lot of sense. You know, how is he really going to develop and improve at Charlton when currently their conditions aren't the best for the player? He's a key player for them, but what's the point of being a key player full of a team that really aren't as good as the squad that you left last season to join them on? So from that sense, it makes a lot of sense. But you guys, we continue on. And if Conor Gallagher wanted to stay there, that's fine. Reece James had the chance to join Derby last year. That was something I didn't realise, and it gets you thinking, imagine if he did that, could Derby be in the Premier League now? But we go on. Giroud can feel a little bit miffed, but it's business. If they wanted to replace a random player, that player would probably be miffed too. Corn was presented with the chance to test himself in a different environment and to compete among better players, a step he needs to take if he's to get closer to Chelsea. In picking Swansea over West Brom, he's going to work with familiar faces on and off the field. That helps. Chelsea have complete trust in Steve Cooper and have let him 2 players this month. Both will have a view staying there beyond the end of this season, whether Swansea are promoted or not. This could be the blossoming of a potential relationship that will benefit both clubs hugely, but they've also discussed other players and will continue to explore ways to help mutual development. It doesn't have to be an unsavoury parting with Charlton. They've been great for Con, and hopefully they'll be an option for future youngsters to consider as well. Partly said by Chelsea Youth really summarised the whole situation very concisely and very easy to digest as well. From that perspective, it makes a ton of sense why Conor Gallagher had to leave Charlton and move to Swansea City on loan. Imagine if Swansea City did become our new feeder club, maybe we could do with more of them. You know, I look at teams like Man City, for example. I look at their strategy. They seem to have feeder clubs in all the big nations everywhere, and it's no surprise why a lot of their players tend to perform quite well. With our plans to revamp the loan army, you know, we can't have 40 plus players on loan anymore. That's not going to happen. But if we can have relationships with certain clubs, that's really going to benefit, you know, the small minority of players that we can loan out per season, then we need to, and I think Swansea City, with our ties and links with the club, could be the perfect stepping stone. Good luck to Conor Gallagher. I'm excited to see what he does playing with better players and what this could tell us of his pre-season hopes for next summer. Boys, on that point, we move on to the next story for today, and that's in regards to Marash Kumbulla, the young 19-year-old Albanian playing for Hellas Verona in Serie A. Now, reports are suggesting that we're turning our attentions towards the player, and we sent scouts to watch his game versus Fiorentina. He's a defender that plays in Hellas Verona's back 3 system, either sometimes in the middle or down the left-hand side of the back 3. And from all the research I've been able to collect on the player, it seems like he has decent aerial ability. He has decent long-range passes as well. Maybe his composure and his overall short passing isn't as great, but I don't know. Maybe the club is seeing that he has the right attributes that could be developed on and improved upon. But regardless, reports are stating that he could be available for up to 20 million euros. Now, I'm the same as you guys. You know, I'm not the most clued up Serie A expert, so I've never heard of the player until the reports did come out. So it does make it quite hard to have, you know, a lot of deep, insightful opinions on the player. I'm at 19 years old, you're looking at some of his stats, and yeah, you know, stats don't paint the full picture unless you have the context behind things to really support your claims, but it seems like he's a bit too young. In under 1,000 minutes, he has 1 red card and 3 yellow cards, so it seems like his discipline right now might not be as mature as it possibly could be as the player matures and gets older. But I'm assuming that this could potentially be the club scouts doing their job, because we have to let them do that. We pay these guys a lot of money for how long now, because we have one of the best scouting departments around. So at times they are going to have to scour and do what they're supposed to do and look for unknown targets that we don't know too much about. Since the season has started, it seems like he has made a decent rep for himself, because it seems like every big club in Serie A is after the player. Reports that Fiorentina are trying to sign the player on loan before buying him out in the future, with clubs like Napoli, Inter Milan, Juventus and others being interested in signing the player. Well, I can understand why the club scouts probably thought, you know what, let's investigate him and see what he's really about. You know, it is quite hard, because even though I'm looking at the clips, it doesn't really give you the full picture in regards to the quality of the player. And if he was signed, I can't imagine him having any immediate impact for the team. A part of me feels like this is his agent trying to boost his interest even more. You know, with reports that some clubs are starting to make some concrete offers in Italy for the player, well, I assume if his agent gasses the interest of his player even more, that could force clubs to really meet the agent and the player's demands. Another defender we're being linked with, I'm still a bit surprised why we are. And it gets you thinking about the futures of maybe Christensen and Rudiger, who out of the 4 defenders, their futures are more inclined to be in doubt, because we've heard that clubs are interested in Christensen, and we've seen reports that Lampard has some reservations on Rudiger as well. But anyway, you guys, I'm going to end that story and we move on to the final story for today. Yes, another Olivier Giroud report. I'm going to keep things very short and concise. It's looking like both clubs are very close to agreeing final terms. Giroud's close to completing his medical at Inter Milan. It seems like an offer that is going to be accepted by the club from Inter of 4.5 million plus 1 million in further add-ons is going to be accepted. And it seems like Giroud can be the third choice option at Inter Milan, just as he was at this club. So good luck to that. On that note, I'm going to wrap things up and keep things the hell moving. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment and subscribe. I'm the EFC. This is Blue Lions TV. I'll see you guys in a bit.